Today's video is going to be the first video in a brand new series here on the channel. We're going to talk about some firearms basics for new gun owners. So maybe you're a new gun owner or somebody who's had a gun for a while and just decided to get serious about carrying it to protect yourself or your family. Maybe you just want to brush up on the basics. Either way, hopefully in this series there'll be something that'll help you out. Today's video, the first one in the series, is going to be about safety because I think that's a very important topic. We're going to talk about the 4 Universal Firearms Safety Rules, and we're going to talk about some other basic safety things to think about so you can make your shooting experience both safe and enjoyable. So that's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me in the first video in this new series about firearms basics for new gun owners. And whether you are a new gun owner or somebody who's had guns for a while, hopefully there'll be something in this series that will be of value to you. But if you are a new gun owner, I want to congratulate you for taking the initiative, for being responsible for yours and your family's protection. That's a big deal, and I commend you for it. There's a quote I want to share with you from a guy named Paul Markle that says the purpose for carrying a firearm or having a firearm is to be dangerous on demand. I like that because it acknowledges that firearms can be dangerous, but it also acknowledges that they can be dangerous only if you allow them to be or need them to be. So you're responsible for that. So anyway, today we're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about the 4 Universal Firearms Safety Rules, and we're going to talk about some basic safety stuff that will help you out, keep you safe and secure when you're using your firearm. So first, we'll talk about the first Universal Firearms Safety Rules, the 4 Universal Firearms Safety Rules. And these are in really no particular order, and you may see these maybe in a little bit different wording, but the gist is going to be the same. I think these were first coined by a guy named Colonel Jeff Cooper. Look him up. He's a very interesting guy. But we're going to talk about those now. The first one is keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot, really until you're sure of the target and ready to shoot. And if you know anything about guns, you know this is the trigger. This is the part that you pull right here. And by the way, let me just go ahead and say this is not a real gun. Obviously, this is a blue gun, what they call it. It's just a piece of plastic shaped like a gun, so you can do demonstrations that are safe. So, but that's the trigger. You know, if you pull the trigger, it goes bang. So, if you don't want it to go bang, you don't put your finger on the trigger. So, one good habit to get into is whenever you're holding a gun, put your finger way, I hope I'm in focus, put your finger way up here. And on a semi-automatic gun, you've got this ejection port here. So that gives you a good tactile index that you can feel, and you know that your finger's away from the trigger guard. That's real important. Whenever you hear about a gun going off in the news, that just irritates me because unless you got a really, really crappy piece of junk gun, guns don't go off. Typically what happened is somebody either put their finger on the trigger or they allowed something else to interfere with the trigger. And it caused the trigger to be pressed rearward, which made the gun go bang. So first rule, keep your finger or anything else off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Rule number 2. Never let the muzzle of the gun cross anything you're not willing to destroy. The muzzle is the end of the barrel where the bullet comes out. So I heard this put by a Lewis instructor at Tactical Response a few weeks ago, and I like the way he put it, so I'm going to share it with you. I'll give him credit for it, though. Just imagine there's a lightsaber coming out the end of this barrel. We've all seen Star Wars, right? That goes forever, and anything it crosses, it's going to destroy. So most of us know not to point a live gun, at somebody else, but we might cross our hand with it when we're doing something. We might cross our arm with it. We might try to, cross our foot with it when we're trying to holster it. A lot of things could happen that you may not be thinking about. So you got to always be thinking about that muzzle. Make sure you don't let it cross anything you're not willing to destroy. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3. Rule number 3, treat all guns as though they are always loaded. So, that means that even if you just unloaded your gun, you can't ignore these other rules. You can't say, well, it's empty now, I can put my finger on the trigger. I can do this or I can do that. Treat them like they're loaded means you follow all the rules all the time. Can't tell you how many times I've been in a gun store and I've seen somebody pull out a pistol out of the case. Maybe they at least take the time to unload it and make sure it's empty, but then they completely start disregarding these other rules. Don't do that. Treat them like they're loaded. We've probably all heard that more people are killed by unloaded guns, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. They're killed by loaded guns that they treated as though they were unloaded. So don't do that, okay? Finally, rule number 4, be sure of your target and what is beyond it before you shoot. Every year at deer season, I hear about somebody getting shot. And that means whoever shot them broke that rule, because they were shooting at sound, they were shooting at noise, they were shooting at movement, they were shooting at something that they thought was a deer, for example, and it turned out to be a person. They weren't sure of their target. Don't be that person. And also, what is beyond it? Because bullets go through stuff. Bullets can go through people. Bullets go through sheetrock walls in your home. Bullets can go through a lot of stuff. So make sure that if you ever have to shoot, that you're aware of everything that's going on. Every bullet that comes out of your barrel you're responsible for. So just follow these rules and you'll be okay. So that's the 4 Universal Firearm Safety Rules. I'm not going to beat that dead horse any longer. The other component of safety I want to talk about is safety while you're shooting, because I think it's a really good idea to get some training. So you're going to be doing hopefully you're going to be doing some training and some practice, which means you'll be going to the shooting range or maybe into the woods if you got somewhere safe to shoot and shooting. So a couple things you need to really think about that are really, really important. First one is hearing protection. And I say that because gunshots are loud, and a single gunshot can literally cause permanent hearing damage. Well, I have measurable hearing loss among certain frequencies, because when I was younger, I didn't follow this rule very well. I listened to a lot of loud music too, with those Jensen triaxles in the back deck, but I digress. So you want to make sure you protect your hearing, because once it's damaged, you can't get it back. I'm that guy that watches TV with the closed caption on. Don't be that guy, okay? Or that woman. So anyway, there's a couple main different types of hearing protection. They're over the ear muffs like these that go over your ear, and they look like this. And there's a lot of different brands. These happen to be Peltor, and in over ear muffs, there's basically two different categories, I guess. There's passive and active. Passive means just like it sounds. They don't do anything but just block the sound. So you put them over your ears and they block out the sound, and they work pretty well. Active ones, they have some electronic circuitry in them that actually blocks out sharp, loud, sudden noises like gunfire, but it allows you to hear voices. So if you're going to be training, and hopefully you are, or if you're even at a public range or whatever, you want to be able to hear the range master's commands or anything like that. Active muffs are a really good way to do it, because they'll keep your ears protected from the gunshots, but they'll allow you to hear what's going on. And they range in prices. These I think are around $70 or something like that, maybe a little less. I'll put links to all this stuff in the video description. You can check it out for yourself. The other type, instead of over the ear, are in the ear, and there again you've got several different choices. I don't have any with me now, but they're little cheap ones that you can, they're like really cheap, little foam ones, like little foam plugs. You just roll them up and stick them in your ear and hold them until they swell back up. They work really well. I know they're cheap. People think, oh, they're junk. They absolutely work really well, but you just got to make sure you keep them in there and let them expand. You've got these here that are just little rubber plugs that go in. They work well. You just want to find the best hearing protection numbers, but and then you've got, here's a really cool kind that I think are cool. They're here's a little logo. They're Decibullz, and I've got some in my pocket. And what they are is they are do-it-yourself custom earplugs. So you put these things in boiling water, let them warm up, and then you mold them into your ear, and they fit in here like this. And they got different colors. You don't have to have the orange, but they actually work really well because they are molded to your exact ears. And they even have some little percussive filter ones out now that kind of help block the gunfire, but you can still let you hear lower pitched noises and stuff, or lower decibel noises. So I'll put links to these too if you're interested. I think they're pretty cool, and they save you a lot of money if you want to custom, because custom earplugs can cost a lot of money. What I do usually, especially if I'm shooting indoors, is I double up. I put in the ear and over the ear, because I want to save what hearing I've got left. So anyway, ear protection is very important. And if you go to a shooting range, they're going to require you to have some kind or other. The other thing they're going to require is eye protection. You see I'm wearing prescription glasses. That's typically okay, but it's really, as far as they're concerned at a range, but as far as your eyeballs are concerned, that's really not enough. You notice like mine have no protection on the side, If you're shooting at a range, there's liable to be brass flying. If you're not familiar with firearms at all, you're going to have, this is a semi-automatic replica. When you shoot it, brass is going to eject out there. Somebody's over here shooting, their brass is going to be ejecting at you while yours is throwing at somebody else. So it could come and hit you on the side. It's going to be hot. It could burn your eye at a minimum. There's, you got basically little tiny explosions going on all around you. You want to make sure your eyes are protected. So if you wear prescription glasses, you can get these little slide-on shields, or they're really, really cheap. They look kind of dorky, but they will protect your eyes. Or you can just use some shooting glasses. These are little safety glasses, or these are probably a $2 pair of glasses or whatever. But you see they wrap around here. Or you can buy some fancy Oakleys or all kinds of stuff. But bottom line, protect your eyeballs. It's real important. And along those lines is one more piece of personal protective equipment or safety equipment that I recommend, and it's just a basic ball cap build hat. And the reason is because this is eye protection. I know it doesn't look like it, but without this, you got a big opening here, and brass could come down here, hot brass or something could come down here and get on your eyelids and burn you. You got this on here. It just kind of lets it bounce off of there, and it helps protect that top part of your glasses. Even if you got wraparounds, there's still a gap right there. So that's just a really, and plus it shades your head. That's a good thing too. So those three items are really the main, I would say, protective gear that you need. A little tip, has nothing to do with safety, but if you're going to be shooting, I got a cap that doesn't have a button on top of it. You see, this one's got a piece of Velcro there, which is okay, because the button can get in the way sometimes of the strap, or the whatever you call that thing that goes over your earmuffs. Maybe the headband, I don't know. So that's always a good idea. And one other tip about safety, about brass, and it's mainly applies to women, just because typically a lot of times women wear lower cut clothing, and let's be honest, sometimes women have a little bit of a shelf there that guys don't have to catch brass. So I would imagine you don't want a piece of hot brass going down into your shirt. So we'll leave it at that. You're smart enough to figure that out, right? So anyway, that's all we're going to talk about protective gear. Basically your eyes and your ears, and just kind of make sure you're not wearing any low-cut stuff. If you take care of those things, you're going to have a lot more pleasurable and safer shooting experiences. But there's one other item I want to talk about for safety, and we'll wrap this up. And that's lead. Bullets are made out of lead. Most of them are, even if they're copper jacketed. So there's a potential for lead exposure when you're handling bullets and handling guns and around shooting. So just real important that when you finish shooting, wash your hands. Just wash your hands really good with some good soap, and make sure you do that every time. And also, not just when you're shooting your guns, but if you've cleaned your gun, then you got a possibility for getting lead contamination on your hands. So make sure you wash your hands after shooting or cleaning your firearms. And I know this is going to sound stupid, but don't put your gun in the dishwasher. People have done that. They really have. Chuck Norris once got pulled over for speeding, but he was in a good mood, so he lets a cop off with a warning. So anyway, hopefully that has been a reasonably concise look at a couple of things you need to think about for safety. Again, 4 firearms, Universal Firearms Safety Rules. We'll go over them again real quick because I think they're so important. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're sure your target ready to shoot. Never let the muzzle cross anything you're not willing to destroy. Treat all guns as if they're loaded always, and always be sure of your target and what is beyond it. You follow those rules, and you won't ever be that guy on the newspaper whose gun went off. So, and then make sure you wear your protective gear when you're shooting, and you'll be safe. So hopefully this has been helpful. There'll be some more videos covering different topics in the series as I get a chance to make them for you. And I really, really sincerely appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel financially, I invite you to go to patreon.com/survivalonpurpose. If you join at the $5 a month level, you'll be entered in a monthly giveaway. We're going to give away some cool stuff. So anyway, I really appreciate it. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident. So be prepared. I'll see you next time, and be safe.